Hi, everybody. Let's jump into the album, and I'm going to walk you through what we're doing this evening. This is kind of like part three. Part one and part two, I videoed it. It looks like a live streaming. It is on my YouTube. Hi, Sheila, and it is also in the Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations Facebook group. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Christine. Good to see everybody here tonight. And part one and part two are done so that you guys didn't have to sit through. I know a lot of you have already made covers, and so I just didn't think you wanted to go through that with me again live. So I thought we'll get into the important stuff for the live. So we're going to create tonight the front cover. I like to get those out of the way. Hi, Cindy, with the waterfall. I'm not doing the decorating, if you remember. And you know what? No, some of it we'll just be putting in the pocket till we come back and decorate, because I noticed I did put this on top of the matting. I have to remember that. Hi, Rhonda and Cindy. I did grab my magnets, so not to forget. Then we're creating this little fun little, just kind of, you'll see, it's kind of fun to play with once you create it. And I can show you without the matting on it how you can also use it to cut a window in here to see what's on the back side. Then when you flip it open, you'll get the picture there, and you'll see it a little bit. It'll make a little more sense when we have the blank cardstock. So this is where we're going to start on these two items. Then we will get to in this pocket, and we should get to the flaps tonight. And we're going to, let me put these guys back. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the little waterfall just adds for those engagement pictures. So on the inside of your front cover, and don't worry, Tanya is doing a cutting guide. And that cutting guide will be on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations. So she takes all my notes and she turns them into cutting guides, so I can continue creating for you guys, which is awesome. Okay, let's do the inside. I'm going to do the inside back cover first, only because it's fresh in my mind and I don't want to mess this up. And that's my goal here, not to mess this up. So you're going to cut two pieces of cardstock. So you'll cut this from, excuse me, you're going to cut it from one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. You want a 6 by 11 and a 6 by 12. And I did do the pre-scoring so that I did not mess this up with you. And we are going to score. The first one will be our 12-inch across the top. Hi, Sherry. Hugs to you too. We're going to score at 1 and 6.5. Your second piece is 6 by 11. We only have one score line there. I'm going to turn it this way so I'm scoring it the right direction. 11 across the top, score at 7 1/4. 7 1/4. 1/4. 7 1/4. And as you saw, we are just going to burnish that score line. Now you're going to see I already did mine. So you're going to fold it in half, burnish that middle score line, and the 1 inch just comes to the back. This will be attached to the top of your album like so. It needs to go over the back. Okay, so it kind of helps before you put this in your album. If you want to do a little practicing, it is actually very simple, but it is actually very easy to screw up. Okay. So that is why I'm going to be using my scoreboard like this. And I have already put X marks the spot like a sewing pattern. And then on my 11-inch piece where we've scored it at 7 1/4, on this back side of the long piece, I put another X. That way I remember my X's will go together. Okay, and if you need a little bit more, of remembering, tuck it back there in your scoreboard while we're working on it so that you get this fold down, because it is very easy to mess up. Once I got this worked out, and after many stressful moments and my husband helping me, like I said, I wanted this different looking mechanism. I was going to cut the window, and then I thought, no, we're not going to go there, because then we'd have to mat it. And let me teach you to make it first. So you're going to say, well, this X piece is longer than this X piece. And that is correct. We only want to glue the short side. I'm just going to lay it down. My X on this side. And if I'm working with I was mentioning in the video, I'm working with the Pearl Artisan. So you have to hold it a few minutes. It is a little bit slippery. With that finish, it doesn't dry really fast. So I'm not going to rush it. Sometimes you do have to switch over from Facebook. The video will work better on YouTube. Okay. So this is kind of what you're looking at. I know it looks really odd, doesn't it? Now, this is where I want to show you while we've got our blank paper. And I've got mine, it moved. So I'm going to trim this off. I have a little bit, I know you really can't see, but it's sticking over the top. And I want to trim that. Okay, now this is where if you wanted to create, so your window can only be in this short area. You can't bring it this full length, because you need this. This piece is part of your folding mechanism. So up here in the corner, if you have a die and you want to create a window, so you do want to cut through both layers. Well, you're going to have the 1 inch is going to fold away from you, and then it folds in half, and then it folds down. So it looks like this. See, this is the bottom. The sides you glue down, are the opposite of the way the folds go. Or, well, yes. But don't worry about that, Caroline, because Caroline, you can actually refold. So don't fret it, because you can fold this piece. This one you really can't, but this one you could. This one will fold underneath. Let me leave that to kind of look for a minute. Hey, Pamela. So if you have a die, you do want to make sure you've got a good machine that will go through. I'm going to use this as an example. So you could cut your square out. You will have to then go through and mat with your strips of paper, or you can cut a square and cut another one if you're really good at that. I am not. That is why we're not doing the window. So see, this bottom that has your 1 inch will fold up, and then these two pieces become flush. Then this piece folds to the back. And I do have this piece that I was playing with as a sample. So let me take this off and let's go through it one more time. So on my 12-inch piece, I did the scoring at 1 and 6.5. Let me grab mine. Now, this is easier to see because this is my colors and the back is a little bit smooth. So it does give you a little bit of a contrast there. You fold that bottom up. You're going to add your adhesive. And this is just a temporary. This is my 11-inch piece. It's 11 inches long and it is the 6 inches wide. And I scored it at 7 1/4. So now I'm going to fold that to the back. Okay. So I have the 11-inch piece with that folded to the back. I have my 12-inch piece folded in half. And now, first move this. I'm going to attach the back of my 11. That will fold under. And then this is what will happen. Hi, Tomalee. I'm going to pop that in there. And then when you open this, that back side will slide. And then it will slide up over your book. It's hard to see, I know. So that is how that's going to work. Then we're going to grab our cover because this does need to go down before we do any matting. And I did not use a magnet, did not use anything to hold this closed. It's pretty heavy. Once you get your cardstock on here, you're going to find you don't have to use a closure. And I always fill my paper just to double check. I don't tell you wrong. No, I did not. There's no magnet in here. No, you'd hear it. There's no need. It's so heavy. So I'm going to attach my 1-inch piece. Now it's folded to the back. And I want to attach it to the center of my book. I'm going to turn my book upside down. So I have the edge right where I can see where to put it. So this is 6 inches. Your cover is 8 inches. So you're going to have an inch. If you put it in the center, you'll have the inch on each side, and you can mark it. I really don't want to mark this paper with a pencil, but you can, or you can just use your scoreboard 1-inch marks. We're going to add our adhesive. And I am going to hold this for just a second so it doesn't move on me. Like I said, the Pearl Artisan, it's not your glue, it's the paper. It has a silky smooth finish on it. We do need to burnish it from the underside. Because if there's any glue, you don't want it to get on the back side. Okay, now when I bring it down, okay, now here is where, if you've put it on and I can see where mine is going to, when you open it like that, see, it's not going as flat as I want it. So I'm just going to open my page. This one is, you really can't size this little mechanism until you put it on your book, because it just depends on where you put the top, you know, just those human things that happen. So I'm going to put this in my cutter, and I want to take a 1/2 inch off of mine so that it will lay flat. I'm using my cutter backwards. I can't use it that way. There we go. All right, let's see how it's going to work. Much better. So see, you'll know on your book if you need to trim, because this little slide, it's a slider. It slides up, and if it's hitting the top here, well, it won't. It's not going to lay nice. And then this is double, so now you can see how heavy it is. And if you're just joining us, this is the part where you can cut a window out of here. Out of these, you need to cut both of them together so that they match. And then you could put acetate in there. Put your pattern paper, you know, around it. And then you can see the photo. Now, if you're really good at doing things straight, you can cut each one separate and then put your acetate between the 2 sheets of your cardstock. But make sure you're at least cutting it together so that the square is exactly where it belongs. If it's not, then, well, it'll be cattywampus. Then you can add your acetate and glue the top on. If you don't want acetate and you just want to cut a nice square for a photo to show in the back, you can do that through both. But I'd still do it through both. Use a temporary adhesive or something to hold them together while you're cutting them, or washi tape. That'll hold it together. And then you've got your cute little mechanism. And just like that, it's easy, it's done, and it's on our back cover. Cool, huh? Okay, let's move to the front. So the front of our book has, the front cover has a large, nice big flap. And it measures 9 inches, 9 inches by 5.5. We've got allergies going around. I'm telling you. The trees were blooming, and now the trees are frozen. Then we had allergies because we had to have the furnace on. So, of course, that's February, right? That's going to be the pocket. All right, camera. Then we have the waterfall. And we have, excuse me, I'm so sorry. We have 3 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. I did use a large magnet, so this is where you want to decide. Of course, you really don't. Well, I would decide, because you're going to want your ribbon to go underneath the pocket. So if you want to tie your waterfall closed, then grab your ribbon, because it's going to go underneath the gusset of our pocket, and then it will go underneath your waterfall, the top one. I use magnets, and I'm going to use magnets again, but I just want to make sure I let you guys know. So if you want to put them down. Okay, so with the 9-inch across the top, we are going to score at 1/2 inch. Then I want you to turn to the 5.5 inch side and score at 1/2 inch. And back to 9. And we'll score at 1/2 inch. Now I did cut mine just a little bit short, as you know, of 9. So it'll fit nice and neat. I'm going to check it here because sometimes I still have to trim it. So let's just burnish those sides. And set it to the outside edge. And make sure it's not too close to the hinge. No, we're not. So there's nothing, as you know, worse than a bent pocket. Okay, let's miter the corners. All right, just making sure everything's where it belongs. Once we burnish those edges. And put our pocket down. Add our adhesive. Hi, Beverly. I forgot to mention with this album, I did use just a couple of sheets of 12 by 12, but I mostly used the 8 by 8. That's why I created this album this size, because I wanted to be able to use the 8 by 8. So I do have, let me make sure I have what I used. Hey, Sharon, how are you? So I used the white on the back because you don't want to put down your waterfall until you do the matting. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 8 by 8 down. I wasn't going to, but sorry, I'm going to have to be noisy with my bag here. I was going to come back and do it all at once, but I want to go ahead and put our waterfall down. I'll mat that. You can mat that anytime though. So we're going to cut a piece that is 5 inches by 8.5. Well, it's going to be 4 7/8 by 8 3/8. No, it's not. This is 8 by 8. That's wrong. Hold on. 7 7/8 by 4 7/8. Well, thank you, Caroline. 4 7/8 by 7 7/8. And on your 8 by 8, it is the back side of our ribbons. And I did use my distress ink. Let me take a little bit more off that I've been using on the some of my other projects, Pebble Beach. I just love it. It has kind of a grayish tint to it. So it's the archival that we sell in the store of Pebble Beach. It's not too dark and it wasn't too light. It was just perfect. And this is just a really nice background for the waterfall to sit on. Well, thank you guys. I hope you are enjoying our new paper lines. And it just seems like, I came out this month with our blossoms in springtime, and gosh, I haven't even worked with those 3. And here it is going to be March soon, and we have 2 more lines coming out for March. All right, I'm going to set that aside for just a moment. We're going to prepare the waterfalls. And we're going to score all 3 pieces at 1/2 inch. We're going to have the 4 1/4 at the top and score it half. I'm going to make one, Carolyn. It is a cool idea, but after I made it, then I thought, if you're a beginner, you might struggle with matting, doing the matting on the outside. So I decided let's make the mechanism, and then we'll do another video and I'll teach that. That way we do step 1 first. Now remember, we don't want to miter any corners. You know what? This is also a cute album for a baby. It would be great for a baby. And put that window and do a few more of those on a few of the pages. This mechanism, cute. Now remember, if you are using ribbon, it needs to go here right now, because when you put that down, you'll want to be able to tie it. Now, if you look at this paper, the Pearl Artisan, you really don't even have to mat this. Let's be real. I think it's so pretty. It doesn't have to have a matting to it if you don't want. Now I'm going to put my book upside down because we are building this waterfall kind of the old-fashioned way. And what I'm doing is I'm setting it right here where the matting is. And then you'll notice, see, you have a 1/4 inch on each side. And I did it that way because it looks more framed, but also it keeps it away from your hinges. Okay, there's number one. Making sure everything matches. And that's why I like to use the wet adhesive. I love being able to quickly rip it up if I have to. There we go. And I like that wiggle room. Okay, let's put the last one down, and then I'll grab my magnet. Oh, yeah, I'm going to show you guys something. This piece is just paper. And I actually have my magnet under here. And the reason, you'll see this in a minute, it covers that hinge. So it also covers the magnet. I know some of you are probably thinking she didn't put down the magnet, but I had to refresh myself. But we have that hinge, and I didn't want it to look like a hinge showing. So that we're going to end up matting. But I am going to put the magnet right here, so you'll see what I mean when you lift this up. You have this hinge, and if you like it, you can just add your strip of cardstock, but then I did the square to make it look more like it was part of the waterfall. So I'm going to use my large magnets, the basic gray. Now, put these on a little different. Take both of the backings off here. I'm going to close this. Put the first one down where it looks like it should be. It's off-centered, and that's okay. And then that's why I like to have it on my finger. I just let it grab it. There we go. So that it puts it where it's supposed to be. And then when we cover this, you won't even see it. And you won't see the hinge. And that is all there is to that. If you want to go ahead and mat, then I just took the other piece. Let's see, where did it go? Because I wasn't planning on matting, so I didn't have everything out and ready. But your 8x8. And then I just took this other piece that we cut from this bottom, and it doesn't really fit. So let me just go ahead and put it all the way in. So I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch off, and I'll show you. If you want it to go all the way in, then you'll need to cut another piece, but this, with this, equaled the 8. And so it doesn't go all the way down in your pocket, which nobody really goes around looking in your pockets, I hope, to see if you matted, but that will sit there. Then this one, are you looking for a puppy? No, girls in the shed? Yes. Oh, that's why the lights are. Oh, they're working out in the warehouse. And then I cut my square to match size of your waterfall. And the size of your waterfall is 3 3/4 by 7 1/4. So I would just cut this 1/8 of an inch shorter. So 7 3/8 by 3 5/8. And that's what I'll be cutting mine to fit there. And it is the back of your cut aparts, but you've got plenty. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down there while we have it so I don't lose it. And I'm not inking the edges over my paper because it's shredding again and I don't want it. This is confusing. What's confusing that I can help you with? And then that just sits neatly on top. Just goes a hair into your pocket and you're good. Okay, and these were the tags from Heartfelt Creations. This was the goal. So I cut these for they actually sit in the other album, but then they sit in the pocket. Okay, so now you can just go through with those measurements I gave you of 3 5/8 by 7 3/8, and I'll show you the matting. These were cut with the graphic 45 dies. I'll show this later when we do the decorating, but I used the bride, cut this from the page. This is from your cover sheet of your 8 by 8. And of course, you can use any of the papers you like. My goal here was those residual photos, kind of the honeymoon bride and groom or whatever she wants to put in there. Christine, yes, you would need an adult beverage to work out the window, but maybe we'll have one together. And then just the matting. So 3 5/8 by 7 1/8. Okay, this front of page 1 is a pocket. It's a nice big pocket. And the reason for the big pocket, that is also a flap. And I need to add this to the cutting guide. So we have to make the flap first. I left it off the cutting guide, so it's a good thing we're doing this together, right? And then there's 2 nice big things there called mats, right? And we still have room inside of our pages because these are pocket pages. But I can't get it open. So let me get you the measurement because we have to have the measurement for our pocket page. And I can't believe I left. Well, the cutting guide isn't written up, so that's good. So we need to cut an 7 by 8 inch piece of cardstock. I'm going to add that right now. I don't think Tanya's put the cutting guide up. And let me cut a 7 by 8. because we need the flap. Okay. Your 7x8. Yes, I do. You do need the extra, but it's going to be, see how it's shorter. So we have the 1/2 inch. So it is 7x8. Our pages are 7.5 by 7.5 now. So we're working on, our cover was 8x8. Our pages are 7.5 by 7.5. So you're 8 by 7 because it's shorter. I don't know if you noticed that because I didn't even notice it when I was writing it up. So here's this flap. See, the page is 7.5 by 7.5. So our flap is that 1/2 inch. And it's because we needed extra real estate for those wedding photos. 8 inches across the top, we're going to score 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to grab my pocket. And it's 7 by 8.5. So it's 8.5 by 7. And let's go ahead and score the 8.5 by 7 inch piece with the 8.5 across the top at 1/2. And we're going to turn so the 7 is across the top and score at 1/2. And back to the 8.5 and we'll score at 1/2. Thank you, Christine. I'm glad you like it. And what we're going to do is we're going to build this first. This is the flap. It's going to burnish that 1/2 inch score line, but I want to make sure. No, this one, this is the natural. This one is the gold. So here is the difference. Isn't that pretty? I thought I'd use gold, and I'm going to be using some of the new shimmer papers that we got in from Sizzix and Crafter's Companion. So I think I'm going to go with the grayish and the gold to play off of. I mean, you can use gold. Definitely gold looks stunning. And gold is coming back in, I was going to say in stock, coming back in style. But I think I'm going to go with the silvers and the blacks. We're going to see how it turns out. I'm going to do some different matting is my goal. So it's to the left. And I did use a magnet on this. Now, one thing I'm checking is I don't want it to, extend past my page. And it's okay. And we're going to put the pocket on top. Then we're going to put it in the book. You know what? The pearl is one. I love the pearl. But, you can't really use it. I mean, there's some papers I wouldn't use it with. Okay, I'm just checking my fit side to side. Looks good. But for the wedding or a baby, oh yeah, I'm going to use it because I love it. So see the difference in this bone folder, how I want to show you. It really flattens it. That's why I use this one for my burnishing. This album, I really think goes fast. It comes together good, comes together really quick, and it's the decorating that just took me a little bit longer. I wanted to keep decorating. I just wanted to keep adding. I had a lot of fun with the decorations. This one is in the store. It's the EK Success, and it's beveled. So you've got a nice flat here, but it's sharp. I don't really use it for, don't use it if you're going, when you're making your albums, and don't use it for, well, I've seen some of our designers use it when they are scoring, but I go right through the paper. It's sharp, and it's pretty sharp at the tip, but then it has this nice beveled edge. So it's a nice bone folder. So now we're going to set our pocket right on top, and then you have that 1/2 inch at the top. I do too. I like my boxes, and I like my pockets to lay flat. Don't like them to pooch. I don't know if you guys can hear Wilbur snoring. But Homer took his bed again. Typical brothers fighting. You had 84 degrees today. Oh, I know, Beverly. I have tried. Trust me. In fact, they are discontinuing the burgundy. They say pink and burgundy just are not good sellers, but they make light blue. And I'm like, you'll make light blue. You'll make light blue for me, but you won't make pink. I don't understand this. So we do have pink in my colors. And I mean, you can use it for your creation of your albums. I'm just such a paper snob now. I have to use this, the Artisan, for all my construction, because I know that it's foolproof. There's very little that goes wrong with it. Okay, like I said, this is pearlized, so it does take a little bit to dry. I know, Beverly. I've talked to them. They won't. Like I said, and burgundy is leaving. They won't make burgundy for me anymore in the Artisan cardstock, which is crazy. Yes, Tina, they are yes. What I have in the warehouse is it. Like I said, I'm just making sure here. Okay. All right, let's put the pocket flap in our book. And there will be a magnet, or if you want a ribbon closure, now is the time to add your ribbon closure here. And then you would add it to the page. Or you can add it here. It's pretty close there though, but I like to add it back on my gusset. Right there with the hinge. But not over your hinge, of course. Everything straight. Okay, I need a wet wipe. Hold on. I went crazy with the glue. And I just threw my wet wipes in the garbage. I think we'll leave them out. And I got glue everywhere. Oh, the bone folder in pink. Oh, Beverly, that would be cool, wouldn't it, in pink? Sorry. There. That baby wipe took all that glue off. Awesome. Now, magnet time. You know what? And they should make our tools in pink. Again, 8x8. And then I just put a sliver in the back. And I'll do this with you on camera. But I won't be doing the matting tonight. We're just going to get the building done. Okay. Oh, there is no magnet. That's right. This mechanism here, we're going to build this on the back, is pretty heavy. And you're going to notice it will stay flat. Then this is the inside of the page. So we don't have to worry about a magnet. You're not going to get a magnet on here anyway. You would only be able to tie it. So now we're going to create the flap. And there's a pocket inside with 2 more tags. And then we have just the little flaps on each side. These I did put magnets on. And we're going to build those onto the back here. So I'm going to get my cardstock. Oh, these are the tags that I put inside the front. And they are 4.5 by 7. And I have 2 of them. And they're going to sit right inside there. So I'm not going to put them in there right now because we want to work on this and they'll get in the way. Okay, my next piece of cardstock for those, and this is going to make our 2 flaps. This is 7 7/8 by 7 1/4. Okay, then you have 2, and we may have to trim these, but if you want to go ahead and cut them, they are 4.5 by 3 3/8, and those are those little flaps. But I did find I had to trim them a little bit to fit, so I'll set those to the side. And we're going to put our 7 7/8 into the scoreboard. And it's 7 1/4. Because our pages, wait a minute, let me tell you this right. I don't want to tell you wrong. Hold on. We're putting it on the back of our pocket. That's right. Our pocket's a smaller size. Okay. 7 7/8 across the top, and you're going to score 1/2 inch. And you're going to turn it again and score 1/2 inch. And back to your 7 1/4. And I'm just going to make a tick mark at 3 3/8. That's where I'm going to cut it. Wait a minute, why did I just do this? Wrong side. Sorry. No, that's right. No, we're going to cut it in half here, not up there. If you did put the little tick mark, it won't hurt anything. Sorry. So we're going to make it here at about 3 7/8. So once again, 7 7/8. You want to score it 1/2 inch, turn it, score it 1/2 inch again, and then go ahead and make your little mark at about 4. Oh, that's, yeah, no, at about 3 7/8. Or you can fold it in half. You know what, Alice? Make this for some of your old photos. Yeah, so 3 7/8 is good. You know what? I did one couple years ago with mine and put my wedding pictures in it. So I was really glad I did. And this one, I mean, you could put older photos, family wedding photos. This one I originally created because I am going to put in this book my husband's mom and dad's wedding pictures, my mom and dad's, my grandparents. So I've got a bunch of pictures that are like that, and I'm just going to combine them all. So 3 7/8 is about my half, or wherever you found your little tick mark. And if you want them to be exact, you can trim them. But I'd wait. I'll show you why here in just a minute. Now remember, I have my book at the sideways. So I've got one that's going to go here at the top and just come to this outside edge. And then see, one will go at the bottom. It's hard to see on the white. And you should have enough space there. Should be just fine. Like I said, one is going to be just a hair wider. If you want them to be identical, this is where you'll trim it. And that's why we'll have to trim our little pockets. It will just depend on how much of a spot gap you want between your little folds there. So if you need to trim it, I'm going to tell you how much. Looks like, yeah, you would just take 1/8 of an inch off. And that makes them 3 3/8. So that's where our little 3 3/8 by 4.5 come into play, where we may need to trim them. So I have one on the left-hand side. And then the bottom will go over to the right-hand side. If you want it to be, opposite, they're going to open in. So check it. Because I put mine down before I put them. Oh, you know what? The wine is a color that came in and it was wrong. And so I went ahead and accepted it. It's very pretty, but no, it's limited and I can't get any more. Okay. Wine is just very limited. I'm going to cut mine down because 3 3/8 is just too long. So if you've got a 16th, I'm just going to take like a 16th of an inch off. But yeah, like I said, just remember, if you do get the wine, make sure you get enough to finish that project because I did put them on the same side here. So mine are on the same side. And then we have to remember to add the pocket. Let's go ahead and now that we've got these trimmed, 4.5 across the top, score 1/2 inch. And we'll do both of those at 1/2 inch. Okay, so one at the bottom, one at the top. And again, 1/2 inch will be to the inside. And I am going to use a clothespin, or you can use a paper clip. Now it should sit nice and tight, just, around the bottom and right where the hinge is without getting in the way of it. I know, I'm so sad too, because I did my wedding album in the pink and the burgundy because that was my wedding colors. And I'm glad I did now. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any. Okay, so once again, that one can be drying, and now I can use my fingers to hold this one. Or like I said, if you have any paper clips. I have more clothespins. I just am too lazy to go get them. Okay, you might start hearing some noise. The girls are running in from the warehouse, and it's cold. Yeah, here they come. So this is wet, but it won't hurt your paper if you're not soaking it. And here they come. Oh, and there goes the dogs. When you flip this up, so mine ended up on the opposite side. It's okay. Hi, Annette. How are you? Don't, unless you absolutely wanted it the other side. I didn't take into account that it was going to be mirrored. Hi, girls. Thank you. So mine are on the right. Oh, see what I mean with this artisan linen with the pearl? Ooh. It takes a few minutes to dry. Let's try this again. There we go. So mine this time will be on the right side. The other one's the left. Okay, we're going to put these down. Let's miter our corners. Grab the album. It is beautiful. I just love this paper. And if you want to mat these before you put them on, main thing to remember, there is a magnet that's going to be on the pocket, and it's here. I have one on each one of these flaps. Okay, because it really needed them, but they're kind of off-centered. You'll see when we put the magnets on. That's why I'm doing the matting after. So I have one that's going to go at the bottom and one at the top. Now, you can either put it to the outside edge or kind of center it in. You'll notice you've got about 1/8 of an inch room on each side, and that's so you can close this easy without it bulky. And so it doesn't get hit in the hinges there. So I'm just taking mine to this outside edge, giving plenty of room here because we're going to put a pocket down also. night here. Let's get the clothespins. You know what I'm going to try? Hold on. I'm going to use my emery board. Hi, Annette. I'm going to rough this flap up just a little bit. Not the flap, the hinge. Let's see if that helps with our glue. I think that's going to be the answer. Yep. So with the emery board, that's what I'm going to be doing. Big difference. Okay, cool. We do it with our fingernails. Yeah, I just happened to look over and saw that emery board. And it was like, use me. It kept saying, use me. Oh, thank you, Annette. That's already, yeah, much better. Make sure you use your emery board. This is where we're going to put down a pocket and then our magnets. So before we make the pocket, and it's not on the cutting guide, Tanya, this is not on the cutting guide because I forgot it for one thing, and we need to measure. We really do need to measure in between these pockets. Our pages are 7.5, but see with these here, it really did change it. So make sure you measure. It's only 7 inches. Let me show you again what the pocket's going to look like. It's just a pocket. And then it's how you mat it that really changes how it looks. So it's going to be a 6 inch. So it's a nice big pocket. So we're going to do 6 by 8 because we need a 1/2 inch on each side. But measure yours. See from this fold to where that folds. For me on the inside is measuring the 7. Oh, you know why it's measuring 7? Oh gosh, you guys, somebody smacked me, you know. It's our flap. It's smaller. Sometimes I'm really, you know. So we're going to make our pocket 6 by 8. Oh my gosh. I thought I had it all together tonight. I'm wrong. So 6 by 8. Let's cut that cardstock. Yeah, Rhonda, you should have. You would have saved me a lot of embarrassment here. I don't know what. Never mind. I wasn't thinking. That's what it was. All right. Let's go ahead and let's get some scoring done here. 8 inches across the top of the scoreboard, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. 6 inches across your scoreboard at 1/2 inch, and back to your 8 inch. 1/2 inch. Now, while this is flat, I think I'm going to just go ahead and do this now. This is where my glue is going to go. You can see it. I hope you can see it really does take the shine off. And that's going to help with the glue. In fact, it's helping a lot with the glue. You know, part of the problem is I watch the comments because I want to be part of the conversation. I want to be with you guys. And so Sometimes I don't quite pay attention to the tutorial like I should. All right. Let's open our book and let's check our fit. Because if it's too tight between those flaps, I think it's going to, mine is. So I'm going to open this side, and all you have to do, I'm going to score it at 5/8 of an inch. Okay. Yes, one side will be bigger than the other. You can definitely trim this if you want. If that bothers you, you can definitely trim it. So we want to make sure, though, we have it sits nice within our flaps without getting into the way, and they do. Okay, so as long as that doesn't bother you, otherwise go ahead and take that tiny bit off, but it shouldn't bug you. You won't see it, I promise. Okay, let's miter our corners. So one thing you'll notice, it does overlap on here just a little bit, so I'll trim that. There we go, to make it fit better. Oh, I know. Can you believe it? Only 8 weeks and we're all together. Yes. I'm so excited because it's going to be so great. Okay, let's grab our book. And Rhonda, you get to meet Homer. Homer is such a good little beagle. He's really a good boy. He definitely, he's a lot so different than Wilbur. But I mean, we love Wilbur. We love Homer, but he's very different. He's a very good boy. Whereas Wilbur still has his moments. And I'm so glad he does. All right, so let's get that pocket in there. And let me turn the book, there you go, the right way so you can see, so the pocket is a side pocket. Oh, Wilbur's still up to his old antics, though. Oh, Caroline, you have to come because it's a life it's a life-changing event. I'm telling you, you will be so. It's unreal. That's sticking so much better. Okay. Yes, Homer does love Tanya because Tanya spent the week up here with him. Okay. Now you can see where either you need a tie closure, which we would have already put down, or the magnets. So a couple of different ways you can do this. You could do one magnet and then have a cut apart. And that's what I did here, using a cut apart and a magnet to hold your flaps. You can do that. You could do brads and ribbon, if you know how to do that. But I'm definitely going to be using magnets on this one. And it does take 2. Now, like I mentioned, you do have to kind of strategically place these. You don't want them up here. Otherwise, you know, kind of bulky. But I mean, you could when you put your tags in, or you can put them more towards here, which would go on top of your flap. And then we'll do the same on the bottom flap. Oh, Rena, these are the large basic gray. You know what? I kind of really only use the large, but if you're putting them right here where I'm putting them, the small magnets will work. So you definitely can use small, because we're not really going under, we're only going through 1 layers. But that is the flaps on the inside here of the pocket. And again, I'll mat mine, but if you're wanting to mat yours, just do your measurements, because it will depend on where you've put this. And of course, the width. And again, for the pocket, and if you want to wait, I'll have the matting. I just wanted to get our whole construction created so that you can go back and then mat it, you know, when at your convenience. So we'll be doing that. Now the inside, of course, is just matting, and I just put a 2-inch at the bottom, did the matting at the top, and added my strips. So the same with the back. I just do the matting. So if you're working ahead, that's great. And that is where I'm going to stop. Can you believe that? See, this is it comes along really quick. The album does. So next Thursday, we're going to be creating the front here, and it is on a flap. So I'll probably have this matting all ready for you next Thursday. And then we're going to create the back. And we'll probably get this all finished. So we'll only have 1 more week and we'll be done. So say it's coming along really quick. And I know Tanya will have more of the cutting guide up, but I got to go through now and double check it. And that is where I'm going to leave you guys. So we've got the inside front cover. And like I mentioned, these go here. Now there's 2 more tags that fit on the inside, and you'll just cut those from your scraps. Oh, come on. I'm going to have to fix my bottom. Something stuck down. Yep, it sure is. Yeah, there we go. So definitely, I'm gonna sand the edges before I put it down. There we go. Much better. And then there are 2 that go inside of this pocket. And you'll just want to use your scraps. I'll give you those sizes. You're welcome. This one is they are 4.5 by 6. So 4.5 by 6. Again, that's the gold, and they just fit nicely inside of there. So that is, yeah, that's where I'm going to leave you. I'm excited. I'm going to have 2 of these done, and it's always nice to have one sitting in the background in case you do need a gift, right? Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Thursday. Not sure the time. It might be during the day, but it'll be posted in time. And maybe I'll see where Tanya's at on the cutting guide, and we'll get it all fine-tuned so there's no boo-boos on it for you. And then you can get everything cut and ready to go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.